Alright, so we're going to remove this radio. The first thing you need to do is disconnect the battery, make sure all the circuits are off. As you can see, the car is off. And then you can just slide that up out of the way. And now we can access the first two screws here. And since this shifter's in the way, what you're going to want to do is take a small screwdriver and pop off this cover. And then make sure your parking brake's on, of course, which mine is. And you can put it down to 1. You want to be careful, obviously. Ideally, you should use a plastic screwdriver. They have a special piece to do this, but we're just using a screwdriver. This will shake out. And then your AC controls are off. This is definitely the easy part. That came apart very easily. These 4 screws don't seem to be much of an issue. This is all it takes. This is our dry test. Dude, I almost cut this wire short. Good thing I didn't do that. Tempting to do is we have this guy, which will make the steering wheel controls still work. That's an adapter to make this still work with the new radio. Alright, so what we're doing here is this green wire is supposed to connect to your parking brake, so your DVD player will not work when the car is in park. We would like that feature to work. We did connect it directly to the ground, but the problem is the DVD player is smarter than that, and it wants you to apply and reapply the parking brake to prove it's not permanently ground. So, again, we will have to think outside the box and outsmart it. So we purchased this small toggle switch from the auto parts store, up down, and we cut the wire in half. And what we will do is we'll connect each cord to each end of this, and we test it to make sure it did work. And I want this switch out of the way, hidden somewhere. So if you have a CRV, right up in here, there's like this little compartment. I'm going to drill a small hole here. I'm going to mount the cord and then run the wires down there and solder it all together. And then that should allow us to have a hidden switch to view the DVD player whenever we would like. Alright, so now I got the wires, the switch officially wired up. I'm going to drop it down through here and get it through that hole. And then how this works is you can screw this on and it kind of clamps it on so it doesn't move around on the plastic down there. Alright, so now we're going to do phase 2 of the radio install. We're going to attempt to install a backup camera. There's no clear instructions online, so hopefully this video can be those instructions for everyone. The idea is we'll come in through the license plate light, make a hole there somehow, come in through the gate, through here, down the side of the car, up to the radio. So this first panel I've already taken off. It comes off with a little bit of pressure. You can just pull. And also, if you'll notice, there's a little indents here. You could stick a small screwdriver or plastic thing, push that tab back. You'll have to use some pressure. You can see I did break this clip. It's going to be expected. These clips are cheap and I may have to buy new ones or it might not matter. We'll have to see how it goes back together. Now the next part, we have to figure out how to get this thing off. Right here, just pop these covers off and undo the screws. Alright, so that took a little bit of pressure to take off. Looks like most of my clips made it. Now we can analyze what we have going on in here to see if we can figure out how to get the camera wire through this into here. Alright, so what we decided to do is we're going to drill a hole right around this area. And this lines up with the outer trim where the Honda logo is, which we can show you above the license plate. So the idea is we can take a hammer. Well, the first thing we did actually was there was a screw here, here, and one in the middle. We've already removed those 3. And then we're going to take a hammer and we're going to hit these 4. That popped it off. I already hit 2 of them before to see if it would work. So now we're going to pull down the gate. So what we can do now is we can drill the hole here in my little camera deal. We'll attach right above the license plate like this, and then our wires will go through here. Alright, so what we did here is we've cut some small pieces of electrical tape, and I'm putting them in this hole because this hole is a little bit sharp. Middle edge, so you just kind of feed it through. fold it over, and this will provide a little bit of padding so the wire, when it moves around, will not be cut. Alright, so ideally, if you had some kind of plastic or rubber grommet thing to go in here, that'd be better. We put some electrical tape. We're also going to use some silicone sealant. Get it from Home Depot, Walmart, wherever, and we're just going to fill this hole to make sure no water can get through, and just make sure, pretty much just weatherproof it. So you don't have to be shy with this. The same stuff that's around your kitchen sink or your bathroom. I'm going to fill it up from both sides too. And then you want to keep it all in this little dirty area where you never see because that covers on. Then on the back side, you go crazy. It ain't going anywhere. Alright, so we have some silicone back there drying, so what we're going to try to do is see how all these side panels come off. I'm going to start with this first one here. It's a little hard to see, but pretty much just flies right off, a little effort. This kind of seems the same. Came right off. Let's see how this comes off. Looks like there's something here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to try to do is take off these side panels so we can tap into the reverse lighting and also be able to run the cord down through here when we get to that part. So this just came right off. A couple of these little weird clip things. Now hopefully that frees this up some. So we'll do the same thing over here, just try to pry a little bit. Looks like this bolt here is holding it on, so we'll remove that also. One thing to know about these Hondas is when in doubt, go to 10mm, and pretty much everything in this car is held together with a 10mm bolt. Alright, now we're going to see if we can figure out a way to get from the wire that comes in the roof here to this corner. So let's start by taking off this light. Falls out on you. Perfect. This thing comes right out. There's a couple screws in here. Let's just take them out and see. So this is just two little wires, a little clip. Undo that. Alright, so I already pulled on this a little bit, so that came off. So it looks like from where the hatch wire comes in, you can stick a wire through this hole, get it from here, pull it back this way. We'll come down through here, we can grab it here, and then from there we'll grab it to the floor and go straight down the car. Alright, now we're going to attempt to bring my camera and hot wire from here where we drilled the hole, down through this pillar, out through this hole, through this deal here, into the car, which will take us into the headline, which I already removed partially, down this pillar through here to our reverse light. To make this easier, what I'm doing right now is I'm taping together the two wires I need to do, the video cable wire and my hot wire, because the one they provided with the camera is not long enough. And I've already taken a clothes hanger, a metal one, and I've flattened it out and I shoved it through this hole. So now it's all the way through there, and if you look right here, that's our wire. So we're going to use this as our fish line. I'm going to tape this to the end, put on there good. Electrical tape's cheap, and we will attempt to pull this through. I'm just going to put this bait down a little bit and try to fish through. And that's how you can get it through that hole. And then we'll have to figure out some way to get it through here. I think we'll just have to use force. We might even have to cut off the end of the video cable. Alright, we're going to try the exact same method we did last time. Shove that clothes hanger through our little tube. And let's hook it on to our wire and see if we can get that pulled through next. Alright, so what we ended up having to do, because this was such a tight thing and did not work, I cut off the video end of the cable, and now I just have two black cables. We'll have to reattach that when we get to the front of the car, but I don't know. Either damaging this or the cable was the only alternative, so I decided the cable is the way to go. So now we're going to try to fish this through here and grab it through the back. This is also a little tight, and it'll take a little bit of patience maybe, and some luck. Alright, so I taped it through and then pulled it off the tape in there, and now we have wires that are doing through here. Alright, so what we did here is we've fished the cable through as you've seen. We have now pulled all the slack, and then we just literally have it laying here across the top, and it's going through here, down here, and it's now all the way to here. Alright, so what we have done now is we need to locate the reverse wire for the tail light here. So we've pulled this off. I have analyzed it. It is a black wire with a green stripe. I followed this wire harness and found the wire. I've cut it off here and I've stripped the ends. So what we're going to do is just wire nut it back together and then splice in our new circuit also. And then that will send the signal to the radio so it knows that the car has been put in reverse. It will also power the camera whenever the car goes in reverse, and all this should just provide a seamless experience for the life. So what we had to do is I cut my green black wire, and it was too short to reconnect, so I wire nutted a little jumper on here, and now we have our power wires going to the camera and then the one to go to the front of the car. And I'll just wire nut this together and also tape all this up when I'm done to ensure nothing comes loose ever. But this is what I had to do. If you're doing this on your car, I would double check that green black is correct. This is a 2009 CR-V EX, so they all should be the same for that. If you have the premium model, you may not have different wires. Alright, so what we've done so far is we have our power wire hooked up to the reverse light. The video wire's coming down here. I've taken advantage of some of Honda's tape already and just kind of pinned my wire along here. I'll probably add some more of my own later if needed. Then, furthermore, I have my clothes hanger. I put the two wires on and I fished them through. So if the camera wants to come by here, we can see how we did that. This piece was really hard to get off. The screw wanted to strip when I tried to, so I figured we don't have to. I just attached the wires to this, I pushed this through, and now if we come up front, and the same thing here, these are our two wires, and actually what happened for my camera wire, the one they provided me wasn't long enough, so I'm going to cut off the end of this video cord and then attach it to the end of this, and then we'll finally have video to the receiver, and we'll see if all this works. We're going to do a dry run now. We have the video cable plugged into the input there. This is for my special unit to make the steering wheel controls work. The antenna, wire harness, that should be enough to make this work. So if all goes well, we can turn it on and see what happens. So we have the radio on, the button is changing the channel, the volume button is working, and the mode button switching to different modes. Now, the big moment of truth, when we go to reverse. We have video. So, as you can see, we successfully routed the cable through the side of the car from the tailgate all the way under the carpet here to the radio. We'll put this thing back together and we'll call this job done. Alright, so we're starting to put the car back together. So far, what we did not record is we popped the camera back on. One thing to watch out for, which I didn't mention in the beginning, was if you're running your wire similar to mine, ideally you probably want it to run in this hole here. We had to take this off and refeed the entire camera through the hole because we had the wire under that. So keep an eye out for that. To put this piece back on was just like we did to get it off. There's a bolt here, there, and then these are just clipped on. As soon as the force hits it, you're good to go. Other things I've done is I had some extra wiring, so I taped these together to prevent those from coming off. We have the extra wires taped back here so they're out of the way. And I guess just a little thing if you're wondering about this, for the camera ground I just jumped off of the tag light to keep that grounded, but for the power we're actually again running through here, all the way down through here, headliner, down the side of the car and plug directly into the reverse light. And for us it was the green with the black stripe. So now we'll try to get this bad boy back on. I did break or lose a clip or two. Honestly, I think it'll be fine. They're pretty forgiving. That's why there's so many. This is one of the clips, which I believe goes right here. I don't actually know the best way to put these on, but this is how I'm doing it. Which, this looks right. Nice and easy to get these back on, luckily. So we're going to reinstall the handle now. That back. That back. Little cover there. That guy back. Tape down the wires like I mentioned earlier. This probably isn't the best way to do it or the most professional, but this is how it's going to be done today. And I think it should suffice. I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments if it doesn't. Alright, so as my assistant just pointed out, if your window isn't lining, if it's not going on, push it up to align it to the window. Give it a couple whacks and it pops in perfect. Now we're going to try to get the head liner looking back good. Tucking it back under the weather stripping. And we took off these 2 bolts. We'll plug it back in so it still works. Alright, that's all the panels. This probably isn't worth recording. So we bought a standard radio kit from the internet. They're all over the place. Just consult your instructions, but this one was real simple. A couple screws here, here, wrap it on this. So we're going to plug all of this stuff in. We didn't really cover the wiring. I think there's already a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So if you are interested, consult one of those. But we got a USB cord wire. This is our backup camera wire, our auxiliary jack, so we can have someone plug in a phone if they don't have Bluetooth. This one here is for our remote controls to work, because we kept the steering wheel control. That is looking good. Put that shit in reverse. Let me angle the camera down. That's way too high.
Next project.
Oh, this radio?